Okay,
Mm.
different type of deployment strategies. Could you please confirm, any one of you, any guesses, or do you have any knowledge about this? Have you heard about? I think we discussed about it. At least one or two examples we have covered. For example, blue-green deployment, right? Any other? Okay, there are a couple of strategies like Canary deployment, blue-green deployment. These are most commonly used. Canary and blue-green deployment, right? Then all replace deployment, right? Then linear deployment. Then we have mainly these are the deployments. What are the difference? What is a Canary deployment? We do the deployment on incremental basis, right? Where there is a least impact, we do the deployment for that particular workload or work item, and gradually we keep modifying small changes and then replacing it with the new version. So let's say there is a version v1 running on an of an application running on the version v1. So some of the resources will be pointing to the new version, some of them will be on the older version, which are not very critical. We first switch them to the new version, we test it. If it's working fine, we do the same thing and replace it for another set of people, and so on. So that's how we do the deployment on incremental basis. Blue green, what is blue green deployment? We have done the lab exercise for that. There are two versions running parallelly. One is blue, one is green, right?
So, sir,
And
blue deployment means you were saying about that where we deployed first one in the secondary environment.
yes,
Then
yes, yeah. We created a deployment slot, then created the secondary slot, right? So I shared the production environment version with you, the URL. So when we deploy to, let's say, blue, right? Let's say blue is the primary, okay? End user will always see the primary one. So let's say we have version v1 deployed. Next there is a change, upgradation. So we will not actually change the primary, we will first deploy it to secondary, that is green. And once it is deployed and tested, we switch the slots, right? I shown you in Azure switching slots, swap slots. So within few seconds or hardly a second, we can swap the slots, we can swap the versions. So now end user will be pointing to the latest version. So here we are running two parallel versions. One is old, one is new, and then we swapped it. It is comparatively costly because we are running two parallel versions. Canary is comparatively less costly. We replace all the versions at once. This is less costly. You need not to duplicate the code, but this is risky also. In case there is an issue with the new version, your application might be at risk. You might face the downtime. You have to roll back to the previous version. Okay, so I have a link I can share with you, right? This is blue-green deployment, right? Where we are running two different or two parallel versions, right? Blue-green deployment enables you to launch a new version of the application alongside the old version. Monitor and test the new version before you reroute the traffic. Canary is to reduce the risk of deploying a new version that impacts the workload. The method will incrementally deploy a new version, making it visible to the new users in a slow fashion. Right? As you gain the confidence of the deployment, you will deploy it to replace the current version in its entirety. Linear means traffic is shifted in equal increments in an equal number of minutes between each increment. After every regular interval, we keep changing the traffic from older version to new version, right? So this is known as linear deployment. Time based. All at once means all the traffic is shifted from original environment to replace the environment at once. Okay. And the first one is in place deployment. In place means we stop the older version and the latest version is installed. So the application is deployed with minimal disturbance and all at once, right? We stop the older version and we start using the new version, right? So we call it one is in place deployment, in place, another is all environment, all at once. Okay, all at once. These are the major type of deployments. Okay.